Well-behaved women seldom make history. That line, written by historian Laura Thatcher Ulrich, has never rung truer than it does right now in 2025. We were raised to be sweet, to be polite, to say yes when we meant maybe, or worse, no. We were taught to soften our tone, to smile when we were uncomfortable, and to swallow anger whole, all to maintain the image of a nice girl. But let's be honest, where has being nice gotten us? Nice didn't protect us from being interrupted in boardrooms. Nice didn't earn us equal pay. Nice didn't stop harassment or raise our voices when justice was overdue. Nice didn't challenge systems that were never built with us in mind. And still, we were told to try harder, to be more agreeable, more patient, more forgiving. But 2025 is different. Being nice often comes at the cost of self-respect and personal growth. Because being nice isn't the same as being kind, not the way the world teaches girls to be nice. No, what we're taught is a performance, a quiet obedience, a willingness to say yes when our gut screams no, a readiness to make others feel comfortable even while we are unraveling inside. From an early age, girls are praised for being agreeable. We're rewarded for not speaking up, for not challenging, for staying in our lane. We're told we're mature when we stay quiet and let someone else take the lead. Graceful when we smile through discomfort, well-raised when we let others interrupt us, and nod as if their words are more valuable than our own. We internalize the idea that our worth lies in how little trouble we cause, how invisible we can make our needs, our pain, our potential. But the truth is, being nice in this way is often a slow erosion of who we really are. It teaches us to compromise, not just for harmony, but to the point of self-abandonment. We don't raise our hands in meetings because we don't want to come across as too bold. We don't push for the raise we deserve because we don't want to seem greedy. We don't confront a friend who hurt us because we don't want to seem difficult. So we stay stuck, polished on the outside, but suffocating quietly inside. And the cost? It's massive. We lose years of our lives trying to be liked more than we try to be known. We end up in jobs we don't love, relationships that don't serve us, circles that don't reflect us, all because we were afraid that speaking up, choosing differently, setting boundaries, would make us not nice. But here's the thing, growth doesn't happen in comfort zones, and it definitely doesn't happen when we're constantly worried about being liked. Growth demands honesty. It demands discomfort. It demands the kind of choices that may not be easy to explain, but are deeply right for us. Self-respect requires that we listen to ourselves louder than we listen to others. It requires that we sometimes disappoint people who expected us to be silent and sweet forever. So when we choose to let go of nice, we're not losing something. We're reclaiming something. We're reclaiming our voices, our power, and our right to take up space, unapologetically. Being kind, that's a strength. Being compassionate, a gift. But being nice at the expense of ourselves, that's a loss we can no longer afford. And in 2025, we've decided we're done paying that price. In 2025, assertiveness, boundaries, and self-prioritization are not just acceptable, they're necessary. Not trendy, not optional, not reserved for a few bold women with nothing to lose, but essential survival tools for every woman who wants to live a life that is her own. We are no longer living in an age where playing small is seen as modesty, or where biting our tongues is mistaken for strength. We've spent too many decades pretending that self-sacrifice is the highest virtue a woman can aspire to. We've been taught that putting others first makes us better, but in reality, it has made us disappear. For too long, women have been measured by how much they give away. Time, energy, emotional labor, all offered up freely, expected without thanks, and demanded without pause. At home, we manage the feelings of everyone in the room, even when our own are in chaos. At work, we take on extra tasks, keep the peace, smooth things over, all to be seen as team players. In friendships, we offer comfort, presence, care, often without receiving the same in return. And all the while, we've been conditioned to believe this is the right thing, that we're being good, that being a woman means being endlessly available. But in 2025, we are finally rejecting the lie that our value lies in our availability. We're recognizing that being whole means putting ourselves first, not in a selfish way, but in a real way. Because how can we show up for anyone else if we're exhausted, if we're silenced, if we're constantly burning out on the altar of being liked? Assertiveness is no longer a bad word. It's clarity. It's the ability to say, this is what I need, or this doesn't work for me, without apologizing, without softening our edges to make someone else more comfortable. For too long, assertive women have been mislabeled, called difficult, aggressive, bossy. But what's really happening is that assertiveness threatens the status quo. It disrupts the balance where women stay quiet and accommodating while others decide what's best. In 2025, assertiveness is our declaration of presence. It's our refusal to stay in the background. It's a signal that we trust our own voices, our judgment, and our right to be heard. And with assertiveness comes boundaries, another word we're reclaiming from years of distortion. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are the lines that protect what matters most inside. They tell the world, this is how I deserve to be treated. They're not harsh, they're honest. They say, I can't do that right now. I need rest. I'm not available for this kind of conversation. And perhaps the most radical boundary a woman can set in 2025 is the boundary against self-neglect. Because we are finally learning that giving until there's nothing left is not noble, it's harmful. Self-prioritization is the foundation of everything else. It's not about choosing ourselves over others every time. It's about including ourselves in the equation at all. It means recognizing that our dreams, our energy, our peace are just as important as anyone else's. It means stepping off the hamster wheel of constant approval seeking. It means no longer rearranging our lives around someone else's expectations or needs. And that can be hard, because many of us were raised to believe that love and sacrifice were the same thing. But in truth, love without self-respect is not love. It's dependency, obligation, or performance. We are learning to love ourselves out loud. That looks like going for the promotion without worrying about whether people will say we're too ambitious. It looks like ending a friendship that drains us instead of trying to fix it endlessly. It looks like choosing solitude over company that makes us feel alone. It looks like no longer measuring our worth in how nice we were, but in how honest, how real, how rooted we've become. In this new era, we are also unlearning the deep fear of being disliked. Because for many of us, the reason we didn't speak up, didn't draw boundaries, didn't prioritize ourselves, was fear. Fear of rejection, of confrontation, of being called names. And that fear kept us small. But here's the truth. Some people will be uncomfortable with the real us. Some people will push back when we stop shrinking. That's not a sign we're doing something wrong. That's a sign that we're stepping into our power. And the people who truly value us, they will stay. they will adjust, they will grow with us. This transformation isn't happening in a vacuum. We're seeing it in culture, in conversations, in the way women are showing up publicly and privately. More books, more podcasts, more spaces are dedicated to the real experiences of women. Not the polished, perfect versions, but the messy, honest, unfinished truths. We are naming the patterns. We are calling out the double standards. We are holding space for anger, for desire, for ambition, for all the things women were told to suppress. We are learning that we don't need to be everything for everyone. We just need to be everything for ourselves. It's not easy. Setting boundaries is hard when we've spent a lifetime avoiding conflict. Speaking up is scary when we've been punished for it before. Prioritizing ourselves feels unnatural when we've been trained to call it selfish. But we are doing it anyway. Because the cost of continuing to live inauthentically, of silencing ourselves, of saying yes to things that drain us, of putting everyone else first, is too high. There will still be moments when we doubt ourselves, when we backtrack, when we catch ourselves over-explaining or apologizing just for existing. But the difference now is that we notice, and when we notice we can choose again. That's power. Not perfection, but awareness and agency. We're teaching the next generation that strength looks like honoring your limits. That kindness doesn't mean self-erasure. That being a good person and having strong boundaries are not opposites. They're companions. We're showing them that a woman's voice is not a liability. It's her birthright. So in 2025, assertiveness is not just allowed, it's expected. Boundaries are not just accepted, they're respected. Self-prioritization is not indulgence, it's leadership. And we are no longer asking for permission to live this way. We are claiming space. We are rewriting the script. We are showing the world that we are not here to be nice. We are here to be whole. We are here to be free. Society must unlearn the deeply embedded and harmful expectations placed on women to always please, agree, and shrink themselves. Expectations so normalized that many don't even realize they're enforcing them. From childhood, girls are rewarded for being compliant and punished, often subtly, for speaking out of turn or asserting themselves. We tell girls to be nice, to sit like a lady, to smile more and to not make a scene. These messages are wrapped in politeness, but they carry heavy consequences. They tell women over and over again that their value lies in how comfortable they make others feel, not in their intelligence, not in their power, not in their authenticity, but in their ability to please. These expectations run deep, in our schools, in our workplaces, in our homes, and in our media. A boy who challenges a teacher is seen as confident. A girl is seen as disrespectful. A man who negotiates firmly is admired. A woman is often labeled difficult or bossy. A man who says no is setting a boundary. A woman who says no is being cold or uncooperative. This double standard teaches women that their survival, their success, even their safety, may depend on how likable they are, not how capable they are. And the cost of this conditioning is immense. It causes women to doubt themselves even when they're right, to stay silent when they should speak up, to apologize for things that aren't their fault, to over-explain their choices, their feelings, even their presence. It teaches women to ignore their instincts, to question their desires, and to stay in relationships, jobs, and roles that no longer serve them simply because it's more acceptable than upsetting the balance. In the workplace, this shows up as women taking on extra emotional labor, smoothing over conflicts, mentoring others while their own growth is stalled, and rarely getting credit for the invisible work they do. It shows up in pay gaps, in glass ceilings, in the assumption that a woman will choose family over career, or that if she's strong-willed, she's somehow unfit to lead. In meetings, women's ideas are often overlooked until repeated by a man. Their authority is challenged more frequently, their ambition is questioned, and still they are expected to respond with grace, patience, and charm. Never with anger, never with force, never with too much certainty. In personal relationships, these expectations manifest as women minimizing their needs to avoid conflict, staying quiet to keep the peace, taking care of everyone else's emotions while neglecting their own, feeling guilt for wanting more, for asking for space, for saying no. So many women shrink themselves, literally and emotionally, apologizing for their bodies, their opinions, their ambitions, their dreams. They learn that saying "I want" is selfish, that taking up space is arrogant, that needing help is weakness, and so they live in the shadows of their own lives, pleasing others while quietly disappearing. Even in pop culture, the narrative persists: the cool girl who never complains, the nurturing mother who sacrifices everything, the passive love interest who waits to be chosen. These aren't just characters, they're blueprints, offered to women as ideals to emulate. Rarely do we see women celebrated for being direct, demanding, or unapologetically themselves without being cast as villains. This erasure shapes our understanding of what it means to be good. It tells us that in order to be loved, accepted, or successful, we must constantly shapeshift, smile more, speak less, forgive easily, and never need too much. But this narrative is not only outdated, it's damaging. It robs women of their fullness. It strips away the complexity of who we are. And in 2025, we are finally calling it out for what it is: a control mechanism. When women are taught to prioritize harmony over honesty, when we're conditioned to be agreeable at all costs, we become easier to manage, but at the expense of our truth. Unlearning these expectations is not just a task for women, it is a collective responsibility. Society must stop expecting women to bear the emotional burden of making others comfortable. We must stop raising girls to please and raising boys to lead. We must challenge ourselves to value truth over politeness, substance over silence. We need to recognize that anger, when rooted in injustice, is not hysteria, it's wisdom. That ambition is not vanity. That too much is sometimes exactly enough. We must teach our daughters that their voices are not inconveniences. They are instruments of change. We must teach our sons that emotional intelligence is strength, not softness. We must change the way we talk about women who set boundaries, not as cold or difficult, but as clear and self-respecting. We must celebrate women not only when they nurture, but when they challenge, when they innovate, when they take bold action without waiting for permission. This unlearning will require discomfort. It means we will have to examine the stories we tell ourselves about what women should be, about what makes someone likable, about why disagreement from a woman feels threatening. We must confront the fact that many of our institutions were built without women in mind, and sometimes at our expense. It's not enough to simply tell women to be strong if the systems around us continue to reward compliance over courage. We also have to make space for women to grow out of old roles. The woman who used to say yes to everything might now say no. The woman who used to be accommodating may now speak with blunt honesty. The woman who used to smile through pain might now walk away without explanation. This is not betrayal. This is evolution, and society must learn to respect it, not resist it. Let's be clear, women are not abandoning kindness. We are redefining it. Kindness does not mean erasing yourself for the comfort of others. It means honoring yourself and treating others with dignity. We can be compassionate without being compliant. We can be generous without being drained. We can be collaborative without being controlled. We're entering a time where being a full, complex, boundary-holding woman is no longer a rebellion. It's a necessity. And that shift will not just liberate women. It will improve society for everyone. When women are free to be direct, honest, and self-protecting, we raise healthier children. We build stronger communities. We create more inclusive workplaces. We model authenticity, which gives others permission to do the same. So let's dismantle the myth that women must always agree, always please, always remain small. Let's teach that disagreement isn't disrespect. It's part of critical thinking. That saying no is not rejection. It's clarity. That refusing to shrink is not arrogance. It's integrity. Let's replace the expectation of compliance with the expectation of truth. Let's welcome women who take up space, who ask hard questions, who say what they mean, not as threats but as leaders. In 2025, we are no longer asking for approval to be who we are. We are not softening our words or rounding our edges to fit into someone else's idea of who we should be. We are not shrinking to make others feel tall. We are not agreeing just to avoid being disliked. We are standing in our power, fully, completely, and without apology. And it's time for the world to meet us there.